Hi, this is Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Welcome to my Star Atlas Week in Review podcast. This is podcast number 181. Any articles or videos mentioned can be found on my website at intergalacticherald.com. Just look for Weekly Recap Newsletter 229. So just a quick summary of things that happened this past week in Star Atlas. The only thing was the Atlas Brew, so I'll go over that. But before I get to that, just again, some reminders of things I'm working on Star Atlas. You can check out my website, intergalacticherald.com. It's a great Star Atlas resource, a website for guides, directories, recaps, a Discord newsfeed. However, I'll be upfront. They're all getting a little outdated because the Star Atlas product has moved on and hasn't re-solidified, so there's not much we can make content on. But anyways, some historical stuff, if nothing else. You can also check out my Star Atlas merch store, intergalacticgear.com. Also, I would love to get together with other Star Atlas gamers, so I'm trying to create a community of basically non-guild guild at intergalacticcoalition.com. So as I mentioned this past week, the main community event was the Atlas Brew. It was pretty much three topics. First was kind of some more information about the Star Atlas DAO, that the council elections are coming up in the next few weeks. Also, Michael Wegner, the CEO, mentioned a few things about the DAO that people mentioned that, it's not very democratic. And he kind of mentioned that it never was supposed to be. And that it was more about your economic interest within the community, i.e. in the number of Polish you purchase and things like that. So I thought that was an interesting take I hadn't heard before. Then there was a presentation on one of the community members who's working on a trading card game. So there was a little update on that. And then the remaining parts was some updates on the C4 public release that's going on. So they have been fixing a lot of the major bugs, not all of them, they said, but definitely the ones that were more about gameplay and things like that. There's still quite a large bug list for them to go through. A little more talk again about this new mechanism called medallions, which I'm not following very well over the weeks, of some small mentions of it in the Atlas Brew. Also some things on how the loot drops will occur when there's the combat occurs. A little bit more on how the XP will transfer from the current test to the real system. And then finally, a little bit about the diplomacy module. And I will apologize, I was doing the recording of the Atlas Brew and my mic stopped, or I shouldn't say mic, but the recording cut out the audio. So I'm not sure how the last 5 to 10 minutes. So again, still trying to get my system set up to be a little more reliable, but, trying. So... Anyway, so yeah, that was pretty much it for the Atlas Brew. Not much else. So just a couple thoughts on the state of Star Atlas. I did find it kind of interesting, that comment about the economic interest is really how the DAO is structured. And again, maybe this has been mentioned before, or I missed some posts, but it kind of, I guess, for the first time, kind of like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. And again, I guess we think of systems as being democratic, one person, one vote, but nobody ever said that's how it has to be. Democracies, yes, but this is a structure. It was invented. I guess a distributed autonomous organization could be set up, one wallet, one vote. Of course, you could just make more wallets and you would get more votes. But I do actually think, given the kind of premise of the whole parts of Star Atlas that are not the game, but, again, the crypto component, the currency, the tokens, and definitely the DAO, that it does seem to align actually kind of like, yeah. Now, wish I had lots of money so I could buy lots of tokens and then I would have more say, but I don't have lots of money. So other people do, and they get more say. And I think the way it was described in this brew is, again, that's sort of much more like a corporate governance. You're buying shares in a company. Well, if you buy more shares, you get a bigger say. So again, I think my biggest takeaway was, again, this isn't like government democratic one vote, one say, but more of economic and corporations. So, just how it's structured. Also, moving on. So again, on the PTR, it sounds like it's progressing well and moving on. So the updates are great. We did kind of not get any last week. But Disto does seem like a lot to go now. They haven't given any indications that things aren't still kind of on their internal timeline, but I don't know. Just again, maybe people are on vacation too, so you never know what's affecting them internally. But again, they like they said, they're fixing bugs and things like that. So anyways, as always, great to get an update on what they're doing. So, and then lastly, just my journey playing Star Atlas currently. Again, just playing the stage, star-based, still mining. I think it's copper ore. I think I'm actually halfway there to my 5 million, or excuse me, 50 million goal. So that's kind of an accomplishment, but also I think just speaks to the fact that, yeah, I mean, it's just sitting there doing things and time goes on and eventually you get a lot. So what else? Yeah, that's pretty much it. Just also haven't had a lot of time personally. So anyways, yeah, so that's what I've been doing and kind of what happened this past week in Star Atlas. Again, do check out my website, intergalacticherald.com, Star Atlas resource website, guides, guild directories, other directories, recaps. Again, if you're listening to this podcast, you already get the AI summary recaps. And I do have a Discord announcement newsfeed. You can sign up for an email. Again, check out my Star Atlas merch store at intergalacticgear.com. And if you want to be hang out with other Star Atlas gamers trying to get together a community at intergalacticcoalition.com. Other than that, that's what happened this past week in Star Atlas. I'm Matt with the Intergalactic Herald. Have a great week ahead.